come back for the second. India have won the test match. India have won the series. They're going to get back for two. India home.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the 81 All Out podcast. This is your host, Siddhartha Vaidyanathan, and I'm joined today by the regular crew, Mahesh, Ashoka, and Kartikeya. We'll link all the details in the show notes, all the handles, relevant articles, substacks, and everything else. We're here after about 15 minutes, I think, of the end of the second test match between Australia and India. Australia winning by 10 wickets in Adelaide, and the series is now 1-1. Fantastic test match and handsome victory for Australia. But at the same time, I think both the results of both these tests, first at Perth and now at Adelaide, have been one. The team which has won by a huge margin. But I think that flatters both teams a bit, at least in my view. I don't think India. I think India got the better of the conditions there and had the Bumrah bowl a magnificent spell. India had their problems in that test as well, which we mentioned, which Bumrah spell and Siraj's bowling papered over. Those cracks were visible here with the bowling. And I think, just as Australia won by 10 wickets, of course, we mentioned earlier in the series preview that Australia have their edge in the series. Australia have the superior bowling attack, better depth. But at the same time, this match could have been closer. It's not as if India didn't have their moments. India, in fact, had chances to get on the up quite a bit. But yeah, fantastic victory for Australia. Mitchell Starc, Pat Cummins, supreme bowling, and Starc especially, with the pink ball, the conditions, using it, the sort of parabolic arcs that he's able to get to the ball. It's just beautiful to watch. Magnificent bowling. And you can't really stand a chance against much of that bowling. You try and play at it, you edge it, it goes. That's the way it is. This is high quality bowling. Travis Head's 100, some drama in between there, which some of you gents might have heard about. But yeah, overall, great win and great test also. Engrossing. Big picture thoughts. We can start with Mahesh, the non-atmosphere merchant in this podcast now. He didn't go to Adelaide. How dare you? But thoughts.
Finally, the test match that I went, India won, and the one that I didn't go, India lost. So some mean reversion.
More importantly, I think not you, but your hero is the issue. But we'll get to him later. Okay.
We'll come to that later. At a very macro level, like for instance, even before the series started, if you had to pick one test that India had the least chance of winning, I'd have probably picked Adelaide. In this ground, in these conditions, especially for a day night test, Australia just has simply the superior resources to start with, right? And then, you were saying India had its moments. I think outside of the early lucky phase when KL Rahul, was dropped, got out to a no ball and whatever, and that partnership was quite beautiful to watch. The very short Rahul Gill partnership. Probably around that time for about an hour, India looked like they were in the game. I think after that, pretty much by the time we went to lunch on day one, India have been chasing the curve, and that's largely to the fact that they have the most extraordinary resource for the conditions, which is Mitchell Starc. And also, there's only so many times you can get out of trouble like the way India did in Perth. Perth was also a similar thing, right? We got all out in pretty quick time after batting first. Bumrah had an extraordinary burst on the final session on day one, which first of all, it's not going to happen every test match. And two, in this test match, Indian bowlers just simply did not get enough purchase from the wicket or conditions as Australians did. Partly because Australia bowled at a better time and so on. But I don't think the variance is so much as it was in Perth. The variance between first day and day 2 and 3 in Perth was quite significant. But here, Australia was always bowling better than India. And we talked about it in the last test, right? There was quite a bit of criticism about the fact that India didn't bowl fuller and hit the stumps often enough, especially on the back of the fact that they did it excellently in Perth. Partly I think they didn't find the length. Partly I also believe that it was a conscious choice to kind of bowl a bit dry and not attack too much because they didn't have too much runs to defend. And the next day, the second day when Siraj came back and bowled, he bowled a lot straighter and a lot fuller, but he was still not getting too much from the wicket. Bumrah was still holding back the length a little bit. And also, when Harshit Rana came back to bowl on second day, they tried bowling full and attack the stumps. But that's the problem. One, no matter who's bowling, that's always a risk. And two, especially see, Siraj is basically a bit of a luxury for a second bowler, right? In the sense, he's a very attacking bowler. He's a fantastic resource if he comes on the back of Bumrah and Shami. But then if you give him the responsibility of being the second bowler, that itself is one step up. And I don't think Harshit Rana is ready yet. He's got all the raw materials. He'll probably get there in a couple of years. At the moment, I think Ashoka mentioned this in our chat, that I don't think his second and third spells are as potent as the first spell. That is one problem. And two, I also don't think he can attack with the level of accuracy and control required to not be able to leak runs. He bowled a pretty dry spell first half, but after that, the moment he's tried to bowl fuller and straighter, he was back for runs. And that was always going to happen for a bowler of his standards, which is not to say that he's got all the potential, but I'm just saying that he's just not there yet. It is a classic test in which the difference in resources or the strength of the resources for those conditions played out. That's the way I saw it. And Travis had played a fantastic innings, but again, it's partly enabled by the fact that Australia was front running. Then he could afford to take the chances. And what handsome chances they were. They paid off so well. He basically is saying, hit the stumps. I'm showing you the stumps. You hit me if you can, right? If you give room, any bit of room, I'm going to slash you on the offside. And if you bowl too straight, I'm going to hit you on the onside. When you're front running and you're playing that game and you are such a fantastic stroke maker, and it's also a day when everything is coming off for you, there's not much else you can do, to be honest. In fact, India tried bowling over the wicket. Again, they got backed. And of course, the six that he hit off Siraj was a phenomenal shot. I think Katie made this point about comparing him to Sehwag, which is an excellent comparison. In many ways, it's similar, right? Sehwag also does the same thing. He tries to show you the stumps and tries to create room to play on the offside. It was a phenomenal innings, but essentially, Head capitalized on what the Australian bowlers did, which is, they basically destroyed India on the first day.
Yeah, you're right about the day-night test. Australia day-night test in Adelaide, I think they're still unbeaten in a day-night test in Adelaide. They lost in Brisbane but not in Adelaide. So, and yeah, 72 wickets, I think Mitchell Starc has with the pink ball, at least as far, that was till the first innings. He has more, he will have more now, but yeah, unbelievable. Ashoka.
Yeah, I think, if you see, this is the third time India are playing that Bangalore test versus New Zealand. Like they played the Bangalore test versus New Zealand, then they played it in Perth, now they're playing it in Adelaide. Right? So the result is now 1-2 against them. And this is what I expected would happen in Perth as well. Like you win the toss, you bat, you get out to 180, then the opposition is going to make runs. See, I think winning the toss and batting is a good idea here, because if it comes off, you are batting when the lights are on and the ball is old. And I am told reliably that under lights, old pink ball doesn't harm you much by the locals. So if I am to give the theory any credit, so that makes sense. So you win the toss, you bat 2 sessions very slowly, you don't lose much wickets, and then when the lights come on, it's not much of a threat. But that didn't happen for India. So they got out early, and their next bet was, okay, now we have the new ball, now it's under lights, now it's supposed to do a lot of things, and now we can get Australia out really, really quickly like we did in Perth. And that also didn't happen. McSweeney and Labuschagne, that 86 in that one session for just 1 wicket, you're running into huge trouble. To their credit, I think they did well. I think Siraj bowled really, really well in this test match. The second innings in Perth and the first innings here, he was like very good. But the problem, as Mahesh said, is that he is a complete all-out attack bowler. He needs some cushion of runs. If you make 120 and 150 all-out, and then let Siraj lose, it's just lottery. You're asking for a lottery. You're saying today might be the day when you run through the side and get 6 wickets for 20, or today might be the day you get hammered in trying to get those 6 wickets. So, given all that, he did really well. India's second problem is the hedge, man. They have been hedging their 11 from Perth, which is adding Nitish Reddy, which is adding Rana, and now Washington Sundar in the first test. Now they corrected it with adding Ashwin. But still, Nitish Rana, again, I'm saying Nitish Rana. What the hell, man? Harshit Rana and Nitish Reddy, they are a problem, man. So, in the sense that they don't offer you control. Reddy will give you 40-50 runs and all that, but is that really? I mean, he scored well in both innings here, right? So, what did that do? That didn't do much. That only gave them a 19-run target. But if India had the third bowler and the fourth bowler, they would have competed a little bit more. Australia could have been wrapped within like 250. And it actually, if you see the scorecard, that's what it shows. Bumrah, Siraj, and Ashwin, who have experience in Australia, they took 200. They took 9 wickets for 212 runs. Harshit Rana and Nitish Reddy were 1 for 111. So in 22 overs. So neither did they give control nor did they pick wickets. So that's where I think everything went quite wrong for India. But we know what the usual chatter is going to be. The usual chatter is going to be these batsmen again need to go back to domestic. So that chatter was out of syllabus for one test. Now it will come back. Like we don't know how to face proper fast bowling. We didn't know how to face spin. Now we don't know how to face pace as well. Kick these guys out, bring new guys in.
No,
And when
not
that
all of
chatter,
them. Just two.
just
senior
two,
most.
yeah, three. I mean, now Rahul slander has come
Rahul
back.
still enjoys quite a bit of goodwill from the first test win. So it's
I don't think so. You're talking about KL Rahul here. He has no credit. He's exactly, if he does well, he's on zero. If he does badly, or if he plays one bad shot, or something doesn't come off, he's gone back to drop this guy. He has a 30 plus average in tests. So yeah, that conversation will go. That conversation will peak. Now the challenge for Gambhir and the team is that what to do when that conversation. I mean, how much heed are they going to give? In a previous era with Rahul Dravid, I would be slightly sure that they're not going to pay much attention to noise. But with Gambhir, I don't know. I don't know. They may play one extra batter. They may play Sarfaraz or Jurel or whatnot, and they may continue playing Harshit Rana. Or I don't know what they're going to do, which makes the series a little bit interesting.
Yeah, also Ashoka, I don't know if you're aware, there's a Telugu actor called Harshit Reddy. So I think
there is Harshit Reddy, there is Nitish Rana, there is Nitish Reddy, there is Harshit Rana.
so many combinations. So this was in Perth, as we said, they got away a bit. And Harshit Rana is like he bowled like a couple of unplayable balls in Perth, got that wicket of I think Travis Head bowled. That was quite a blazing ball. But even in Perth, I mean, it was pretty clear that he was not going to be able to bowl dry and save runs. And, we've been talking about Akashdeep, with the series and the kind of performances he had in India. It was almost like they had primed him for this series, and guy hasn't yet got a test. I mean, there's still 3 tests to go, so let's wait and watch. But could be Harshit Rana's batting. He has 100 in first class cricket, but as we saw in this test, I mean, the short ball, it's not easy facing Pat Cummins and Mitchell Starc bouncing you, man. I mean, this is even top order batters can't face that, so it's too much of an ask for that. So yeah, maybe they go to Akashdeep or Prasidh or something for the next test. Anyway,
I don't know. They may change batting, man. They may change all the batters and see if that works before they change bowlers.
They don't really. I mean, how many options do they really have in the batting? I don't. I'm not sure how much you can change there. Yeah, I mean, you have Sarfraz Khan. We've seen Sarfraz Khan in India series. I don't think that there is something majorly out there that is better than what is already the 11 that's already playing. Kartikeya. Pat Cummins. You can talk fully about Pat Cummins' ball to Rohit Sharma also. Full license.
Somebody said it is the ball of the series. I think somebody's not watching cricket properly. That ball gets
Ball-
Rohit Sharma like 4 times now. It has gone.
There are three better
Rohit
balls in
Sharma
the
is
match.
Rohit Sharma is the man who has got the ball of the century in every match. Yeah.
Oh man, what a comeback, man! First innings he gets a off break, which should have beaten pretty much every batsman in history. The second innings he gets like a ball which shapes in and then leaves him. I I still think he's getting turned around marginally more easily than he used to be. But I mean, I don't know if like the Rohit Sharma of 2021 would have like uh, survived this ball. I mean, he might have edged it instead of being bowled, but I mean, come on, it was a good ball. Yeah, I mean, and there's nothing you can do. No, I mean, Gill in the second innings was. I mean, they're all good players, man. You give them 5 flat pitches, they'll make 400s, all of them. So
I mean, they did at Perth. I mean,
yeah.
we saw what happened at Perth. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, you saw what happened at Bangalore also. No, a flat pitch they made 480 or whatever it was. So
Bangalore?
yeah,
Yeah,
against
the
New
Second
Zealand.
innings,
Pant-
Bangalore,
Pant and,
460. Sarfaraz and Pant, man.
Second inning. Correct. Yeah.
When the wicket is out, they made runs. Sorry, Labuschagne looked so much better, because the bounce was true at in Adelaide, so he could trust the bounce, and his technique is very well suited to playing here. And India, when the bounce is true like that, no, then you need that extra height, to get that lift. And the Indian bowlers don't have that extra height. So Indian bowlers need a bit of uneven bounce to sort of even up things a little bit. And I felt that uh, India had the sense, or at least that's the sense I got, that India had the sense that this wicket was much better than the Perth pitch. And so they sat back a little bit more when bowling in the first innings with the new ball. And in retrospect, that was probably a mistake. I mean, Bumrah and Siraj still had a brilliant match. I mean, they got what between them, they got in 8 for 150 or whatever it was. And the others conceded the bulk of the. Ashwin had a brilliant spell of 17 overs on a pitch which offered him absolutely nothing. But I mean, he was bowling. It was a hopeless ask for him. And he was still superb. But this is part of the reason why they've been wanting to play 4 fast bowlers so much, no? Because it's futile to bowl Ashwin on these pitches in these conditions. Because I mean, there's not enough in it for him to get to actually bowl sides out. But basically, their problem was, I mean, they might have still gotten away with it if they had a bit of luck in the first innings, and Australia had been more than one down at the end of the first day. But that didn't happen, and that's fine. And then once that happened, they were in trouble basically, and then it sort of serendipity. The conditions were sort of in Australia's favor in this match. I mean, this was basically the Perth Test in reverse.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, when India were batting, I mean, I was thinking maybe 250, 260 could have been competitive. But at the late, you look at it later and you're like, maybe not. Maybe even that wouldn't have been enough. And what did you make though of the commentators were going on a lot about India's lines in the first innings and the fact that they didn't attack the stumps. Does the data bear that out?
I don't know, but it does. It did look that way. I mean, the first time India got a bowled or a LBW, Australia were already 310. It was Travis Head. Whereas in Perth, the first time Australia got a bowled or a LBW was India's 15th wicket in the match. By that time they were 367 in front. So whereas in Adelaide, Mitchell Starc was able to threaten the stumps a lot more effectively. I mean, his ball to dismiss Gill in the second innings was like also unplayable. I mean, it seemed 1.5 degree from like a 5 meter length or a 4.5 meter length. That's someone was telling me the line, and I mean, that's not playable, and that's. I mean, you have to basically fluke. You have to happen to accidentally play down the wrong line to actually hit that. And these batters are too good to sort of play down the wrong line. There's going to be this endless talk about technical problems and this and that. I mean, this is not like, come on, yeah. This is these bowlers don't give you that many good options. There's no technique to sort of keep these bowlers at bay. You have to either hit them or you have to get lucky. And Australia did enjoy more luck than India in this match as well, but they also created more jeopardy. I mean, India beat the bat approximately once every 4.8 balls, and Australia beat the bat once every 4 balls. So they were better. And really, the big difference was between Boland and Rana, because India also went after Boland in both innings, and that was the right way to go. But Boland has a lot of experience, and he stuck with his lines and lengths. He didn't change up and start hitting the middle of the pitch and doing stuff like that. Whereas Rana, his line and length is already shaky. I mean, he drifts on the pads every now and then, and he bowls a short one every now and then. I don't think he means it. But I mean, he hasn't really bowled much. This is his 12th first class match, and this is Boland's 107th, 108th first class match. So, and when Australia went after Rana sort of fell for it and started doing random things. And then it basically makes it impossible for the bowler for Rohit Sharma. No, I mean, because he has to defend runs, and that means he can't keep as many catches. But Rana's not like sticking to a plan. No? So Rana went for 86 in his 16 overs. And Boland also went for runs, but Boland got his wickets too, because he kept nagging away at that line and length, and he kept getting seam over. So
Yeah, I think the one thing that India don't have is that ability to, as in when the opposition is running away with it, a bowler who can basically, bowl 10 overs for 20 runs. Just like bowl absolutely dry.
They would have loved to have Ishant Sharma in this test match.
Yeah.
But especially the 2020-2021 version of Ishant Sharma. I don't know. I mean, Ishant Sharma, even when he was raw, was better bowler than Harshit Rana is. I mean, Rana has a lot of things going for him. He's tall. He can hit the pitch. He's got terrific stamina. He can keep bowling. All those things are really good. But, I mean, that's not really... That doesn't make a top-class fast bowler. No, that makes just a very raw bowler. I mean,
I think 2-3 years of Ranji.
Yeah, but what I also don't understand what the point of the Nitish Reddy experiment is. Like, okay, he's doing what is expected of him. Like, he's using the long handle, against the old ball when he's batting with the tail, and he's getting a few extra runs. But he can't really bowl. I mean, he's part-time fifth bowler. He hasn't got the control to bowl dry. And
most importantly, I don't think he has the pace, man. I think at best of times he's 130.
He's basically Sanjay Bangar, a little marginally quicker than Sanjay Bangar, maybe. Marginally.
I thought you were going to say Shardul Thakur. Now you've gone back to Sanjay Bangar.
Quicker than Ganguly. I mean, no, Shardul Thakur it can bowl medium fast on his day. I mean, and he also swings the ball. Shardul Thakur is a better bowler than Nitish Reddy, but even that, but he can't. He's not as good with the bat as Nitish Reddy. But I don't understand the point, because now India basically reduced to a two-man attack on this pitch, And I think Siraj is underestimated. I think Siraj is a magnificent bowler, and in these two Test matches, he's got a lot of wickets. Man, he's got what? He got 5 wickets in Perth, then he got 4 wickets here. He got 9 wickets in 3 innings. That's a lot, and he's got a lot more, and he's got a lot more experience. I mean, Siraj, before he bowled for India in 2020, he already had like 250 plus first class wickets. He has a lot of experience. He knows, he's gone through. He's had batters going after him. Like this was not the first time he saw someone like Travis Head going after him in a first class match. So he's
Yeah, I mean, he was an India A veteran.
yeah.
He played so much for India A. Yeah,
he's a terrific player, bowler. I mean, and he's going to keep getting wickets. I don't think Siraj is a problem. He's not Shami, but he's still pretty good. The problem is what comes after him. And I mean, I think the Rana experiment has. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about how the current Indian management thinks about this to know what they make of the Reddy and Rana experiment. I mean, I think both of those have basically run their course, and they need to try something else. And I would not be surprised if they go back to like Akashdeep and Jadeja in place of Reddy and Rana in the next match. Or actually they might even go for Prasidh, Akashdeep and Jadeja in place of Ashwin, Reddy and Rana. But those are the problems. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit of a fix there because Reddy is pretty much, with the bat, he has given them what they probably expected of him.
Yeah, but it's
the problem is him with the ball.
What's the point of those runs? They are. I mean, he handicaps them a lot more than he helps them. And
I mean, you may argue that in Perth there was a point to those runs.
Yeah, but to be fair, there are like about 6 or 7. I mean, you tell Kohli to do what Reddy is doing, batting against the old ball, and he'll gladly do it. He'll do it much better than Reddy. But that's not the point. No, I mean, that's the other thing. No, there's always this pattern of all these batters, coming in at 5, 6, 7 and scoring, the occasional 30, 40, 50. And they end up looking really good, and because and they become like sort of I don't know partisan fan favorites because they provide respectability, But the point is that they are batting when things are much easier, man. The ball is older, the bowlers have already tired a little bit, because they've spent a lot of energy trying to get the top order out. I mean, batting in the 15th, 16th over against, Pat Cummins in his first spell is a completely different proposition to batting in the 50th over, with a 50-over-old ball.
Even in this match, Travis Head, when he came in, already McSweeney had done the work. No, McSweeney and Labuschagne had done the work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
giving the very thought of Gambhir and Rohit Sharma pushing Kohli to number 7 or number 8. That is making me think of the.
I don't think they should. But my point is, anybody in the top 3 or 4, if they push them down, they're going to score more runs than Nitish Reddy does.
We get it. Yeah, I mean, it's like Shreyas Iyer for a while had a good patch because he was coming in a little later and playing against the softer ball.
But that's really not neither here nor there. No, I mean that those runs don't really help you very much.
I think Reddy's the biggest problem is the bowling. I mean, he cannot be your 5th bowler. And India have, given the way they have gone all out for 5 bowlers in the last whatever years. He's not your 5th bowler, and I don't think it really makes sense to leave out players of the caliber of Akashdeep and Jadeja to play him.
He's definitely not your 5th bowler when your first change bowler is Harshit Rana. Man. Come on, that's a real problem. And I mean the other problem which India have, which I think is a much more serious problem than they think, is that Pant's batting is back to where it was before his injury, but it's not clear that he's as mobile as he used to be behind the stumps. So they are going to have to make a decision about whether they persist with Pant as the keeper or whether they don't. And I have a feeling that the whole the interest in Jurel is partly because of that. Because Jurel is the right age to be a long-term wicketkeeper. So because and we don't really know, right, like what the long-term consequences of like the accident and the recovery and all was. I mean, because what does that do to his mobility? Does it make him favor one leg over the other, or what? And like like keepers have to, especially laterally, keepers have to move a lot. Like that footwork is really important because Pant seems to react a little bit later than other keepers to the ball, and also here he was a little bit very leery because I think the ball is swinging after it crossed the stumps. So that's also difficult. But that's a decision that they are going to have to make. I mean, and I don't think that's a decision they can keep making. I mean, they have to make it once and then stick with it. Because they can't. The worst thing they can do is to sort of keep going back and forth. They take Pant out and blame as a batsman, and then put him back in as a keeper, and then take him back out. They can't keep doing that because that's not good for Pant or for Jurel or anybody like that. So that's another change. And if that change is made, then I have a feeling it won't come until one of Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli is gone. Because that will open up a spot in the batting order for Jurel.
Yeah, because obviously Pant has to play. So the question is whether he plays as a keeper. But 81 all out correspondent at Perth was raving about Pant's keeping.
No, I know he dropped the catch. I know Gilchrist had some comments to make. But I don't think so. I mean, it's just different style of keeping. So the point is, I mean, Gilchrist, one of the comments that he made is that, okay, Pant is preparing for the bad ball down the leg side. Therefore, he made the early move, and therefore he missed the catch, the one that hit his glove and hit Rohit Sharma's wrist. By that logic, I mean, I thought that was good logic. But then, if Pant had listened to that advice, for instance, he would have probably not been in a position to take Steve Smith's catch down the leg side. I mean, to be honest, there's nothing in it that I saw where I have any reason to believe that his mobility is not back to where it was before. And I mean, all keepers drop catches, man. Come on, like I thought, like the level of emphasis on one drop catch was a bit too much.
Yeah, all this come into focus. See, all this come into focus when you don't get wickets, man. If Pant had dropped 2 catches when in the Perth when Australia was 67 for 7, nobody would have had a conversation. They would be like, "Oh, okay." And still, it's not 67 for 7; it's 86 for 1. Suddenly, everything matters. See, that's the same thing. Like Karthikeya is talking about dropping Nitish Reddy and all that, but the entire conversation around this is like Nitish Reddy is the savior. He batted when nobody else could bat. That's the whole.
What savior? They lost. No, he's not the savior.
Yeah.
So,
savior of grace, not savior of test
grace.
matches.
Who cares about grace? You want to compete? No, I don't care.
What do you mean? Who cares about grace?
It's
outside of
pride,
you, everybody cares about grace. That is the
and pride. Don't forget the important word, pride. Yeah,
he saved us from utter humiliation.
Hey, what
that is
no. I mean, let's make it clear. Let's make it clear to the listeners.
They lost in 7 sessions. What? Pride?
Yeah, but we have to make it clear that this is nothing against Nitish Reddy's batting. He's doing exactly what is asked of him. The question is about the team balance and whether they can afford to pick up a player like Nitish Reddy when you have.
The question in a nutshell is what is asked of Nitish Reddy worth having in a test team?
Correct. Yeah. And especially when you have like bowlers of proven quality in the thing. Forget Akashdeep. I mean, Akashdeep is still young, but you may want to play Jadeja and Akashdeep, and instead of Reddy and Ashwin. Yeah.
No, also the point is if Nitish Reddy is good enough, to be honest, then he should be picked in the top 5. Okay, you can drop a batsman and pick him if you like his batting. But this is not about his batting. This is about why he's in the team. And why he's in the team is a hedge. And typically, if you look at, let's say, the Indian team of the last 10 years, I mean, every time they've gone for a hedge, sometimes they've been lucky. And that kind of continues to haunt them for a while. I mean, I think Washington Sundar was a hedge, to be honest, against New Zealand. And because he was a super smashing success, it gave them a breathing room to try a little bit more. I would go out on a limb and say Shardul Thakur was a hedge. And that paid off handsomely.
Going out on a limb, I know he was a hedge.
No, but
yeah, of course he was a hedge, man.
Dude, you're not in the conversation space that I am in. They're saying Ashwin bowled horribly here. They should have stuck with Washington Sundar. Ashwin bowled 18 overs for 53 and 1 wicket.
Ashwin bowled beautifully. I mean, the drift that he was
in a
getting.
second day Australian pitch with pink ball.
And he really got
Like
Travis Head out, right?
flat. Yeah, he bowled when.
Ashwin was magnificent. He bowled a 17-over spell for 50 runs, bowling into Travis Head. I mean, Travis Head took 40 in 57 against Ashwin. But it wasn't turning. There was really no threat. I mean, there was no Head could like run down the pitch to him whenever he wanted. But Ashwin kept beating him and stuff. Come on, and he was superb.
Dude, I saw him drift from wide outside off stump to leg stump, and so much so that he beat the batsman, but they couldn't appeal for LBW because it was drifting so much.
Yeah, that was magnificent. And let's just put things in perspective. All right, Nathan Lyon bowled 1 over in this test match, like 1. And this is like one of Australia's greatest bowlers. He's Adelaide boy. Would have known the conditions really well. Would have bowled in that ground for whatever, hundreds and hundreds of times, and he got 1 over. Okay, in that match, this is the equivalent of like a fast bowler coming to an Indian flat pitch in India somewhere, absolutely like batters like hammering runs and then bowling like a great spell. Ashwin was superb. I mean, you can't just start saying Ashwin was bad. I mean, he was very, very good, man. I mean, come on, just because you see like his wickets tally and you start saying things like Sena average,
Everything comes under microscope when you lose, man. See, I think India did nothing much different from Perth.
Ashoka,
the conversation is completely absent in Perth.
I completely disagree with you. Everything doesn't come under the microscope when you lose. Random things get said when you lose. Those are two completely different propositions.
No, everything comes under the microscope, but random things get said after being looked at under the microscope. Like,
no, this is not a microscope, man. This is magic mirrors.
Yeah, I mean, see, this is the classic. You lose and then you look for the mujrim, right? The match ka mujrim. And now 11 people are match ka mujrim in this team. I mean, apart from Nitish Reddy, okay, that guy, gave respectability. But apart from that, everyone is a villain. Because
Rohit
this guy
Sharma
went
crying inside.
Rohit Sharma is
because he did exactly what Bumrah did last test match.
See, this Rohit Sharma's press conference is also becoming very similar. He's talking exactly like he was talking after the New Zealand defeats. I'm like, wait, I've heard this speech somewhere. I'm like, oh, okay, I heard it in the New Zealand series. 3 times I heard it. Okay, no wonder. So
he's bringing accountability to the job.
Dude,
after New Zealand, he said, I was not at the top of my game, both as a captain and as a player. That's how you take accountability. Look at Virat Kohli. He's still saying, I'll deliver when the pressure is there. It's been like 5 years of no pressure or what?
Dude, he got 100, man. What?
Like one of the easiest hundreds.
The narrative around this.
By the way, I don't know if you guys saw Sanjay Manjrekar's tweet. Apparently, Virat Kohli's refusal to address his outside the off-stump problem. I'm like, how beautifully he phrases that outside the off-stump problem. That's probably 99.99% of all batting problems. Which batsman doesn't have an outside the off-stump problem?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw Manjrekar saying that. But yeah, it was quite baffling. Also, it's a little weird when you don't, when you're not really being prescriptive. When you're just saying something like this, I mean, you have to be a little more specific about what exactly you're saying, right? You have to, and also what exactly he's doing, which he can change. That didn't seem to come. I mean, maybe Manjrekar will mention it later and some other context.
No, I think these days they're calling Kohli a fisherman. He's
but
going fishing outside the off-stump, so he's a fisherman.
Which batter is not? Tell me one batsman who's dropped off from the peak, doing something fantastic on the outside off-stump balls and something terrible on the balls which are straight and down the leg side. I mean, every batsman's downfall, he gets reflected by the way he treats the ball on the off-stump and outside off-stump.
You didn't watch Sachin in the 90s, is it? When he at his peak, when Was used to get him for fun outside off stump. I mean, this is the story, no? This is the greatest story of all time, no? Like Sachin was getting out outside off stump. Then he went to the Himalayas and meditated for like 7 years. Came back in that Sydney test. Did not touch a ball outside off stump. Like a Himalayan master.
On a road.
Why can't Kohli do that? Why can't Kohli
go back to Himalayas? and meditate.
Why can't he not play anything in the offside? What? Come on, isn't that like simple? Also, that Sachin 241 is just getting too much of this thing, man. Like every time.
A rubbish attack on a road, man. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah, they didn't complete 3 innings, dude. They didn't complete.
There are more runs scored in that test match than there were in like I think in 2000.
In the entire history of Test cricket, be statistically accurate.
50 out of 2,570 odd Test matches so far. Come on, that's
Bye.
that's a sign. Like anybody who says the random stuff like that, no, or anybody who goes on about Jack Callis's technique, no, it's like you should just dismiss them out of hand, man. Jack Callis would have averaged 38 or 40 in these conditions, in this era. Come on, this is not. I mean, these guys, these players are like patterned on like with every 2 or 3 tests they used to get a pitch which produced a draw back in the day. There has been one draw in all of 2024, and this is I think the 47th Test match in 2024. Come on, this is not your father's Test cricket.
My memory, just rounding off that thing about that Sydney test in 2004, my memory of that is India made 705 in that match. And ever since they crossed 550, Ian Chappell, whenever he's coming on commentary, is like, why the hell are they still batting? Just declare. If you can't win a test match after scoring 550, what is wrong with you? Then they score 600, then they score 650. And Ian Chappell's he's just losing his marbles over there. He's like, guys, get out. And as it happens, end of the test match, it's a draw.
There's a difference between Ian Chappell and Sachin Tendulkar. Ian Chappell should go to the Himalayas and meditate for like 70 years. Then he will get the composure of, not touching a ball outside off stump.
It's worse than that. In the end of the test match was not just a draw. End of the test match, they were 70 runs away from losing, and Australia had 4 wickets in hand.
Yeah, but they were never going to win that match. Come on.
Given another 3 hours, they would have won that match. But having said that, if there was a 6th day in that match, there was no way India were going to declare on like 300 for 3 or whatever it is that they declared their second innings on. Like especially with like Tendulkar 60 not out or whatever it was, they would have like batted on and on and on. Like
211 for 2. I have that open. Yeah.
I mean, here we are talking about like India having 2 top fast bowlers and saying that, well, that's not enough. I mean, in that entire test match, there was maybe one good fast bowler between both teams combined. This is not serious, man. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. Let's forget about that test match for a moment. But the only reason to bring it up is because this 241 keeps coming up, man.
I don't know. My sort of my standard go-to response in all this is that in the last 10 years, which Indian batting has enjoyed, facing like Steve Waugh and Simon Catich for an entire session against Australia? Tell me.
No, and that is what infuriates me more, as someone, having watched Sachin's entire career.
Sorry, Kerry, just to buffer your memory, Kohli got his much-needed redemption 100 just in the last test with Lyon bowling on like a very bouncy, fast pitch. Labuschagne, right? So if you want to know where was the last time it happened in the last test?
Yeah, that happened once in 5 years, man. Actually, twice in 5 years. The last time it happened, Kohli got 186.
So you're not just saying Sachin was a flat track bully. You're also saying Kohli is a flat track bully.
All of them are flat track bullies, man.
No. I'll tell you what irritates me about this Sachin 241. Having watched his entire career, having seen the most the most sensational Sachin knocks, people are going to 241. I'm like, dude, seriously? Like, of all the Sachin innings, you have to bring 241 as an exemplar? That guy is hammered like Ambrose and Donald, man.
Yeah, but that was before most of India had cable TV, so it didn't happen.
That's because most you had cable TV.
No, but that is about the skill. There is the skill of Sachin. This is about the will of Sachin. You need both.
What will of Sachin, man? The ball not going off the straight on that Sydney pitch like for 5 full
But
days.
that's the thing that even on a flat wicket, he put such a high value on his wicket. He refused to take
Why
the
can't
slightest
Kohli
chance.
do that? That's the question. No, eventually it comes down to why can't Kohli do that?
The evidence
Kohli
of that
did it.
test match, dude, the evidence of that test match suggests that it was really, really difficult for batters to miss the middle of the bat. Is that all
And,
of
and
them?
also Ashoka, Kohli did it. Kohli did it in just the last test. You gave him the similar conditions.
And
He
last
did
test
it.
and this
But
test,
that
right?
was
Like 10 days difference.
I mean, even
Last
with
test and
Lyle
this
bowling
test,
most of the thing, he
you're
still
forgetting laws of physics. Last test and this test, there's a 10 days difference. In social media, that is like 70 years. We have forgotten. We have died and born again after like 4 days in a social media age. So in Perth, 100 doesn't count because now we are back to why don't these players go back and play Ranji?
fix
Why
that
don't they
option
play the
problem.
fiery fast bowling of Chetan Sakaria to learn how to face Pat Cummins and Boland and Starc
No, and
in
I'll
a
tell
peak
you,
ball
one
test?
more thing that is absolutely getting on everybody's nerves. England is hammering New Zealand on the side over there. And these guys, New Zealand beat India 3-0, going and losing against England. I think that is also
They are the
getting on
greatest
people's nerves
troll,
now.
man. They should never be called nice guys again. They came, defeated India, had a chance to go to finals. Now they have lost their chance to final. They have ruined our chance to final. We should have been already qualified for the finals. We should have beat them 3-0. We should have won in Perth. And then now this all will be like swept under the rug. It's like, okay, fine. We have already qualified for the finals. But now I think we are going to get knocked out. I think this is not looking good for India.
Talking about trolls, Travis Head is, I think, one of the great trolls of our age, in a good way. I mean, he just gets on people's nerves, man. And I don't forget about Siraj, and I mean,
That I
I don't
think is
know
a
the
way of
exact
insulting
reason.
Travis Head, man, because I don't think people rate him highly as a test batter. They see him hammering in T20. I don't think they rate him well as a test batter, but he's actually a very good batter, man. I mean, yeah, sure. Sometimes at extreme pace to short balls he gets out, but then where is that extreme accurate pace that bowls short balls, right at your face at 145? That's not easy to come by, no.
I mean, and how
And
many times Mark Wood did it, right? I mean, that you can't use that as some example of some
how
of
many
every
Markwoods
bowler.
are floating around? Like one Rabada is
Yeah.
there in South Africa. After that, where is it?
No, and also it's not like it's not as if Travis Head hasn't scored against all teams. It's people make it appear like Travis Head scores only against India. That's not true. Travis Head scores.
That people only watch India matches.
Oh,
No,
No,
that
but
is
the Travis Head story is funny, right? You remember the first time when he played against India in 1819, there was a lot of criticism against him in Australia where they said he's getting all the starts, but he's not converting the starts into big scores. I think Ponting came out and defended him, saying, I mean, that's how all careers start, right? It takes a while for you to figure out how to play the long innings. The fact that he's looking his part in the international stage in Test cricket against India is a very positive sign. And then he smashed the Ashes 100, which became legendary. After that, he took off, and the World Test Championship and so on. I don't think people underrate him or something. I mean, sure,
world
he has
class.
sorry?
He's a world class player.
no. I'm
Exactly.
saying people don't rate him as a proper test bat on his own. Like
But I mean,
his T20 exploits like overshadow people's perception. Like they think that he'll swing his bat at everything, get out if it hits
No,
it.
even in Australia, there's a perception of him as a slogger. It's true everywhere.
not a slugger, man. He's easily Australia's best middle order lefty since Border. Without
Middle order lefty. Wait, I'm
That is a
thinking
very
something.
niche categorization.
What Gilchrist
I mean,
is
who's he
there?
competing with? Simon Katich?
Oh, Gilchrist. Yeah.
Gilchrist,
Definitely you'll put
Katich,
Gilchrist ahead, right?
Lehman.
Lehman, yeah, didn't have that
Lehman
long a
surely,
career, right?
Katich okay. Border and all you were saying means
Since Border. But there's not been
since
many
Border is okay.
middle order lefty.
I think he's better than Justin Langer, for instance. But then I also think that Usman Khwaja is as good as Matthew Hayden. That's
I think he's better.
yeah.
And Justin Langer's opener,
Justin
right?
Langer reminded me of a gold line from this match. He's doing commentary. Indians are batting, losing wickets. At that time, he's saying to Sunny Gavaskar, like, Sunny, your great friend Viv Richards once told me something, and that stuck with me for the rest of my life. I give all the youngsters the same advice. Watch the ball. Watch the ball is what he says to
Yes.
people who have
But
come
why
to
did it require
international test
Viv
level.
Richards to say that? I say that to my son every day.
But when Viv says it, it sticks in your mind for the rest of your life, man.
This is like elite name dropping, man. Come on.
Watch the ball.
Like everything Justin Langer does is elite. No, I mean it has to. That is his brand. No, elite this, elite
yes,
that.
yes.
Yeah,
Elite.
elite honesty.
Elite
Yeah.
honesty.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I think Travis Head, what I absolutely love about the guy is there's no half measures about him. When he wants to hit the ball, it has to just be destroyed. He wants to break the ball into 35 pieces. That's how hard he hits it. I love it.
He's
No,
got
like,
he's got like, I mean the Sehwag comparison. Okay, part of it is like they try to stay beside the line of the ball, and they try to turn that fourth stump, 4.5, fifth stump line into width, and Sehwag could do that, and Travis Head can also do that, but you need like a extraordinary eye to do that. I mean, one of the things you see with all these players is that the bat never turns in their hand when they hit it, man. You try to play like that, the bat will always turn in your hand. You will lose shape. I mean, this is just magnificent batting, man. And it's like it's not. I mean, people talk about like mental toughness and all. Like Jasprit Bumrah is beating you twice every over, and you're still keeping your shape. I mean, that's sort of the big lesson of which sort of where Harshit where Harshit sorry where Harshit Rana sort of is the traditional way of putting it is to say that his inexperience and rawness showed, no? Because they started going after him, and then he started hitting the middle of the pitch, and then he started bowling short and wide, and then he started getting too straight, and then he opened up a lot of areas of the field for the batting. I mean, you look at the fours he conceded 16 boundaries in 16 overs, and they were on both sides of the wicket. There was on drives, square leg, square cuts, back cuts, cover drives, straight drives. I mean, all kinds of like over pitching, under pitching, missing line. All of it happened. Just far too often in 16 overs. So like I don't know. I mean, what they say. I mean, there was all this talk about Nitish Kumar Reddy bowling dry, and he's not going to bowl dry, man. He hasn't got the control. Even he drifts on the pads, and it doesn't take a lot. As when the bounce is true, the margin of error on line and length is very, very narrow, and that's where like the class of Bumrah and Cummins and Starc and even Boland and Siraj, it makes them look very different to sort of the lesser bowlers. And Australia, if you notice, had 4 out of the 5 names in that in that list. Because
In
they
a
have
way,
that.
that Hazel injury didn't harm Australia at all, man, because they had Boland for the pink test.
Yeah, but it
That
hasn't harmed them in Australia for years, man. They've always had like their fourth and fifth bowling option. Like it was Pattinson before Boland, and now it's Boland. And Boland, they're superb, yeah. I mean,
I've seen
the only reason those guys can't get into the regular Australian team is because like Hazelwood and Cummins and Starc are just that much better. And I mean, I keep saying this is an all-time great Australian team, which is playing in this era where a lot of other teams also have great bowlers. But they're never going to. Sadly, this Australian team is never going to get sort of the kind of reputation which was Australians had or Ponting's Australians had. But they are just as good, if not better. And like the difference between having like part of the reason they keep having to switch, McSweeney, and they have like they never have a period when they have 6 settled first choice batters. That's part of the reason is that in this era it is very difficult to have that. The bowling is just too good, and there's always going to be like a batter who goes off the boil, is under threat, is found out, stuff like that. I mean, Bancroft and all would have probably had a career like Michael Slater's if they played in the 2000s. So I mean, this is a great Australian side. Let's not make bones about it. And now we must come to my man, who's been under the hammer a little bit. Like yesterday, people were saying, Pat Cummins, he looks innocuous. I don't know what they've been watching, like useless people. He's such a magnificent bowler, man. He can get wickets in so many different ways. And
He got 2 wickets down the leg, man. That
he
was
has he has the best lifter and the best bouncer in the game right now. I mean, and he's better than Bumrah when it comes to that. And okay, he's got an advantage over Bumrah, like he's taller. But I mean, his control. I mean, he rarely bowls a bouncer which flies like 2 feet over the batsman. His bouncer always hits the batsman. That is. I mean, he can hit the batsman's head. 9 times out of 10 with his bouncer. That's an amazing skill, and it adds so much to him. I mean that I don't understand. Like he has had a couple of quiet test matches, but then that happens from time to time. Bumrah will also have a couple of quiet test matches in this series at some point. India will hope they don't, because if he does, they're going to be in deep trouble. But and he did. No, I mean he has had quiet test matches in the past. So I I I mean, so let's not. I mean, it's easy. I mean, part of the reason that the bowling is so relentlessly good these days, that even a lot of the great bowling looks ordinary. Like a friend was telling me, like, where are the bowlers who are bowling short and wide, or where are the bowlers who are drifting on the pads? Where are those things? When when are we going to get to see, like, when are we going to see Shubman Gill's straight drive, and how is it going to acquire the reputation that Sachin Tendulkar's straight drive acquired? Like, okay, now Tendulkar is a bit of a special case, because I mean he could hit good length balls straight back past the bowler, but uh, the point is well taken. I mean, I think, when was the last time you saw any of these bowlers spell in the mid 120s? It's like, Kasparovich used to do that from that. Bickel used to do that. But when was the last time this happened? It doesn't happen. And this is a different game to what it used to be.
Yeah, and all teams are putting together really good attacks. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't even get easy teams now. Like Bangladesh went and won a test in West Indies. I think that's a remarkable achievement.
I mean that Mahmood and Rana is a good pair, huh?
Yeah. Mahmood Rana and Taskin. Taskin bowled really well.
Taskin is also not bad.
I mean, Taskin is getting old, though. I don't know how much longer he'll last, but that's a good class pair of new ball bowlers.
Yeah, so you don't even get easy series, easy games. I mean, you need to be at your best in every time you play. And then these guys play so many formats now. I mean, many of them play three formats. You have to adjust. Plus, you have this day-night test kind of variance. It brings its own challenge,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy for Bumrah to suddenly, I mean, as great as he is, it's not easy for him to suddenly go from red ball to pink ball. And it's not like he hasn't even played much pink ball. He's played
Yes.
a few here
And
and there.
what's the correct length on each pitch? Like, I mean, Perth, he got it right away, but here he took a while to get the right length, and that is Bumrah, right? And talking of being relentless, I mean, the fitness of these players. I mean, to watch Mitchell Starc bowl, even when he's bowling badly, as in badly meaning not taking wickets, is an extraordinary sight. It's one of the rarest, purest sights in cricket. He's a pure fast bowler. Like every bone, every muscle, every tissue in his body is meant to be a fast bowler, and you can see it. The guy is so athletic. He's able to generate pace. Like no matter when he's bowling, he could bowl like 15 overs. He's still bowling at 140. And you have that kind of raw materials, and then you have this perfect storm of day-night cricket with a pink ball, and like if when Wasim Akram bowled those balls, like the kind of ball that he bowled to, like forget Gill, the balls that he bowled to Ashwin and Rana, for instance, and then you talk about Gill, like maybe it'll happen in the future. Maybe we're probably sort of trying to figure out what's the posterity value right now. Maybe just like how we talk about Akram to Dravid, I am sure this will get its own mythical status over time. I mean, like it took me a while. You remember the sort of graphic that they showed on the TV immediately after the ball? I actually thought it was a graphical mistake. Like, how would the ball have gone if it didn't swing in the air and then move off the pitch? And how would it have gone otherwise? I actually thought it was a technical glitch. The difference was so stark. So I'm sure it'll acquire its own mythical. Sure, I get your point, KD, that like these players maybe the cricket itself doesn't mean as much today as it used to then. Maybe I don't know, but I mean, how is this not as good as Wasim Akram at his best? I don't know. Of course, Wasim Akram was a greater bowler for other reasons and so on. I'm not getting into that point. But if you watch a magical Akram spell and you watch Starc bowl here, I mean, they're pretty sensational.
All right. So, I think we're close to wrapping up. Do we at all want to say anything about the talking point of the match? Talking point of the match, I'm talking about Siraj to head. Siraj and Travis head.
Yeah, that is useless, man.
Yeah.
First of all, how is that even a thing? Like, even in India-Australia rivalry, we have seen so much. Like, if you go to the tight test and watch the conversation between Chetan Sharma and what's the wicketkeeper's name? Tim Zoder. Like, the kind of things that have happened on a cricket field, this is like super sanitized version.
You know what this is? You know what this is comparable to? Srinath and Ponting. That is all. There's nothing more than that. Srinath basically bowls the bouncer to him, tries to apologize. Ponting says, okay, whatever.
This is a fantastic parallel to City. This is how India has progressed. Srinath was this nice vegetarian fast bowler. He bowled a bouncer, beat Ponting. Ponting barked back at him. He walked back to his mark and apologized and started bowling again. But Siraj is the sign of New India. He's here to give it back as good as it gets.
Technically, the send-off is illegal. Okay, once you dismiss the guy, you can't give him a send-off. But it was not much of a send-off, man. It was just a reaction. I mean, Boland had a similar reaction when he got Kohli out. But I think the reason it blew up is that some reporter asked a leading question to Travis Head in the press conference, and Travis Head walked right into it.
I don't even know why this was a big deal, man.
I know. I'll tell you. Now both teams players play alongside each other in IPL. Okay, so now truly horrendous stuff can't be said because you have to again come and share a dressing room at some point in the March. So now what to do? You can now that people covering the game are obviously wanting India Australia to have some kind of a shenanigan like 2008. 2008 is now become that golden era where it's like free buffet for press. Anybody can go talk to anybody and get a great story. Now there is no story outside of great cricket. It's just good bowling, good batting. How long can you sell that? That just becomes boring after like one test.
And even Kohli is getting out like this.
Yeah, it's like fine. People are inventing weaknesses for him that So, anyways, so what should we do? This kind of thing, just blow it up. You know how Karthikeya said that Travis had went and walked into a leading question. You know what Siraj did? He went and presented his side of the case to the most appropriate person in the world, Harbhajan Singh.
Fantastic.
Like Harbhajan Singh is the correct guy that you go and talk to when you are in a scuffle with an Australian cricketer. He is exactly the right person in the world. Oh, so yeah, this is something that people want to blow this up because the series is boring without it for them.
Yeah,
so
but
that's what will happen.
Coming back to some cricket, I think the really interesting question here is whether India continue with these hedges or whether they actually go for the bowling, go for playing the five.
I am nervous about it, man. That is one thing I'm nervous about.
I have a very, very bad feeling that Gambhir is like going to want a hedge. And I mean, even though Rohit Sharma doesn't like the hedge and might assert himself, I don't know that he will. Because I get the sense that he's nearly done now in Test cricket. I think if India don't make the WTC final, he's going to be gone. And if India do, he'll be gone at the end of it.
WTC final is unlikely, man. I mean, they have to win all. They have to do some ridiculous things.
I don't think it's as unlikely as people are making out. I mean, I think South Africa are favorites to make it because they are going to.
They're looking.
They're facing Pakistan next. Yeah.
Yeah, they have the easiest run in, and actually they've had the pretty easy fixtures. But I mean, India are not out of it by a long way. I mean, New Zealand are in trouble. England are not in the contention. Nobody else is really in contention. It's basically
And
India.
Australia go play in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, Australia are going to play in Sri Lanka, so it's not clear that you know, and especially now Sri Lanka are playing well. So
Yeah,
not
Sri Lanka at home is a very tough proposition.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we'll see how all that goes. But yeah, I think the other thing is that I think pitches wise, I think Australia will definitely prefer something with a true bounce like this. I mean, it just helps with that quality of bowling. It just helps them. Why put out a pitch like Perth when you can have something like this and win and even get your batsman back into form? So, I mean, again, I don't know if you can actually create these things in Brisbane and Melbourne, but overall, I think Australia would prefer a pitch with true bounce. Um, yeah, then you have only you don't have to worry about the unevenness of the surface. But let's see how all that goes. The next test is actually pretty soon, so it's not too much time between tests. See you at the Gabba, as was famously said once by the great Tim Payne. But we look forward to meeting you then. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. Ashoka, Mahesh, Kartikeya. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for all your comments during the series. Thanks for your supporting 81 All Out. You can buy some of the books we've republished. I'll put the links to that. And yeah, you can send us your feedback. 81allout.com is our website. At 81allout. At 81allout is our handle on X. And yeah, keep listening. And good night. Take care.
Have won the series. They're going to get back for two. India home. Lords goes wild.